All right, everybody, welcome back to Unicorn Princess Gotham. My name is Onikage, and for the month of April, we are going to be doing Stardew Valley. It recently had a new patch drop, patch 1.6, where they have added a lot of things to the game. It's always been an incredibly highly rated game. It's already a recommend from pretty much anybody who's played it. But what we're going to be doing this month, at least for my video series, is a getting started thing to kind of cover, like what you really want to do in your first few weeks in the game. A big part of that is because the your game will have exponential growth based on what you do in the beginning. Now, for the character creation, I always go with the standard farm. There's like all these other farms. There's even the new one, Meadowlands. I haven't tried that one yet. It looks like you start with animals first, which is kind of interesting. Also, they've added a bunch of new cats and dogs. So before it was like there was like these two cats. Now there's like a bunch of cats and dogs. There's even like a system now where you can like gain like friendship levels with the pets, which gives you some bonuses. Whenever I make my character, since I feel like this game's art style is essentially Chrono Trigger, that's who I kind of build my main character as. So this is the Chrono Trigger hair. It's in the game, I'm assuming, for that very reason. There's a lot of different options you have as far as like pants and colors that you can do, but the shirts over here is totally your call. We'll just go with this one. I don't do the accessories. I always skip the intro. Now this over here is super important because this has a couple options. Community center bundles are what you do to unlock parts of the game. You can also do it through the JoJo Cola, or not, sorry, not JoJo Cola, just the JoJo store. But that's all unlocked with money, which is definitely easier, but at the same time, it's sort of like the negative moral route to go versus the community center restoration is more of like the good way to play. I mean, there's definitely a lot of evil stuff you can do if you want. But as far as the bundles, I always go with normal. Remixed, it can throw a lot of things off. Guaranteed 1 year completion is just one thing, the red cabbage seed. Normally, you can't get red cabbage in the first year. It doesn't become available to your year two. So by doing this, at some point, the vendor that shows up on Fridays and Saturdays will have either a red cabbage or a red cabbage seed. The mine rewards are actually better to do on remixed because, I mean, if you're a first time player, do it on normal, it's decent, but on remixed, there's a lot more variety and it can like really benefit your run. I don't do the spawn monsters or any of this other stuff. So let's get into the game and I'll show you some more stuff. Just some little tips at the beginning here as far as what settings to use. So you start off here, you get your first seeds, you got your toolbar up here, and then one thing that you're going to want to do is go to options because this is where you can do like the volume, audio, resolution, but one important thing is this, the UI scale and the zoom level. Now, since I'm on my newer monitor, which is the 2560 by 1440, everything is actually much smaller. So I do increase the UI just a little bit and the zoom level. Now, the zoom level affects what you can see on screen as you play. Zooming out more lets you see more. Like, if there's things on the ground to pick up. Also, for exploring the mine, it makes it a lot easier. But with the higher resolution, as you see here, if you go down and you zoom out a lot, it can get a bit ridiculous, like how far out you can go. So I don't zoom out that far. You certainly can if you don't mind it. That's totally fine. But just for purposes of this, we're going to keep it at 105. Anything here you can click and move around, which is kind of cool. I usually put the bed there. The TV, you're going to want to check for both the weather for the following day and for the fortune teller to see if there's luck. Now, unfortunately, on day one, we've got very displeased. There's too many things that luck affects for me to really get into what it does, but I will say it affects the amount of wood that trees drop, and that is going to be very important. One of the important things you're going to want to do on the first day is try to clear out the farm as much as possible and plant your first seeds. One good place to plant is just like right up front here, just to make things easier. Um, the grass is great to cut to get the fibers to sell as well as mixed seeds. You're not really going to use the mixed seeds that much. I mean, you can, but it is pretty random what you get. So you're going to want to stick to the regular seeds for the most part. Let's see here. Okay. The fiber you can also sell. Money is going to be pretty important early on, and that's why it's going to be something that we are going to focus, and I'll get into some more detail about that later. One other important thing is that like you can't protect your crops from crows until you've leveled farming, and you can't level farming until you've harvested your first harvest, which is going to be these parsnips. Now, one good thing the game does, though, is that it will not spawn crows as long as you have 15 or less crops. So as long as you keep it with the first ones you get and don't plant any of the mixed seeds or any of the other new seeds that you have access to, you won't have to worry about crows. You'll always have the first, 15 spots here and you'll be good to go. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn off the recording while I basically clear some more of the farm out and then go around the entire map just to see if there's anything I can pick up off the ground, such as, in fact, I'll actually show this just because it is pretty important. There are spring onions in the spring, duh. And they spawn every day, like they don't stay. So whatever they spawn on a day is gone the following day. Sometimes you can get very lucky with how many spawn, and they are a great source of energy, which is going to be one of the two things you need to manage most. Energy and time. Time is going to be your biggest enemy in the game. One thing to cover about that is that the game only saves at the end of the day, and you can only have one save file per farm that you do. So basically, you can start a day over. That's fine. But once the day ends, there is no going back. Like you would need to basically like start a new save. Now it looks like we got lucky with the amount of onions, which is very good. So let's grab all of those. They don't sell for very much. They don't have very much energy, but any energy you can get at this stage is absolutely worth it. The other thing I'm going to be doing is chopping down trees, not the ones out here. I'll go over that later. But the ones on the farm, you don't want to chop the stumps though, because the stumps don't give very much wood or experience. But if the stump is there, it'll still drop tree seeds on the ground, and tree seeds are going to be extremely useful starting on day 2. So I'm going to work on that, and we will come back when the day is almost over. All right, so here we are at the end of day 1. As you can see, I've gotten a bunch of fiber. I even got one tree to drop a pine cone. I've crafted a chest that I'll be using tomorrow, got some wood left over. Um, Found 3 of the carrot seeds, which is one of the new additions. However, we're not going to be planting those because if we plant them, crows will show up. Also, they do grow really fast, but you can't buy them, so we're just going to stick with the parsnips. I've got the 50 fiber, which I'm going to need for the first scarecrow, so all of this is going to be sold. Now, the daffodil is actually good early on because it is a gift that is liked by most of the people in town. So it's good for raising reputation in the the early stages of the game. Not everybody likes it, but most people do, so it's definitely viable. So what we're going to do is go over here. Oh, and if you noticed, yeah, my energy is pretty low. Don't want your energy to get too low because if you get exhausted, then next day you start with a decreased amount at the beginning. Also, if it goes too far down, then you pass out, you wake up in bed, you start with less energy, and you lose some of your money. Also, you need to be in bed by 1 a.m. Except for the first few days. After 1 a.m., if you go to bed, you have less energy the following day. Oh, and I also visited the beach and got a couple shells just to sell. So let's put all that in there. We've got our chest here. We've got our chest for tomorrow. We are going to need the watering can at the start. There we go. You get a little notification down here once you've done enough of something to get a skill up in it. So I cut enough trees, and with the harvesting of the spring onions, I'm pretty sure I've leveled foraging because it did pop. Foraging is super important to get to level 1 because it unlocks the field snack, which is where you take one seed from the maple, um, acorn, and pine trees, and then basically you can turn that into a snack that restores a lot of energy. So we'll go to bed here. Yes. Yep, there we go. This is where it shows you your official total. And from everything I sold, I got 347 gold, which isn't bad. So once you click OK here, this is where the game saves, and you are now on day 2. There we go. So day 2 is actually going to be very simple. Now, if we check the weather, the 3rd, it is always going to rain. So, yeah, rain all day tomorrow. Rainy days are very useful for saving energy because you don't have to water crops. Also, if you know it's going to rain tomorrow and you have the opportunity, that is when you're going to want to upgrade your watering can. Because if you upgrade your watering can, you don't have it for a full day, which means that you lose a day of growth. So if we had the ability to upgrade it today after using it, it would rain the next day where we don't have it, and that keeps the crops growing, and then we get it on the day after that, and now we can use it to water crops again. Um, there is a day gap that you can take advantage of if you get lucky and it doesn't rain again between now and the Egg Festival. I'll go into that a little bit more in the second video probably, but for right now, let's just check the fortune teller. Hopefully it's good. Good humor. Okay, that'll help. Because our main thing today is going to be fishing. There's going to be a thing here. Backpack. Just got back from a fishing trip. Okay. So once you've watered your crops, what you're going to want to do is, well, you have a few options. You can explore your whole farm, look for some seeds like in the ground from the trees, and dig them up with either the axe, the hoe, or the pickaxe so that you can turn them into the field snacks. You can also go to the south and look for some spring onions. One trick you can do, and this is sort of cheating, but if you go all the way to the bottom of the settings, you can take a screenshot. When you take a screenshot, it screenshots the entire screen you are currently on. So you can screenshot, go to the folder, open it, and you can just look around at everything to see where everything on that screen is. Very useful for looking at your whole farm or the area to the south. We're not going to be doing that though because our goal is just to get down to the beach as soon as possible. So we don't even need to refill this because it's going to rain tomorrow anyway. So we'll get rid of that. Keep the hoe. I'll explain why in a minute. And we are going to head down, yep, to the beach. Beach is pretty quick to get to. The reason that we're holding onto the copper hoe is because if there's any little spots that looks like there's like 3 worms wiggling around, you're going to want to dig those up. You can find these blue books which are added to the library connection, and you can find like other like things to like turn in. Garbage cans are really good to search. You can get like crap from them, but you can also get some really good food items sometimes, which can make a huge difference in your starting of the game. It automatically cut scenes, and you're going to start off on the dock. We're going to skip that. and you will have a fishing pole in your inventory, the bamboo one. Now, the fishing shop doesn't open until 9 a.m. So he sells a practice fishing rod. The practice fishing rod lets you skill up fishing early much easier because if you get a perfect catch, which means that you keep the little bar over the fish icon all the way until it's reeled up, you get more experience. The problem, though, is that you can't catch the higher tier fish and you can't catch different qualities of fish. You just get like the regular fish. So we are not going to do that. Bubbles, if you see them, if you cast in them, you get a higher fishing rate, which is very good. Um, the best spot to fish at this stage in the game is going to be the mountain lake. They've done a lot of research on that, and basically, just with the value and the types of fish you can get, it is way, way better than ocean. Um, the main fish up there is bass, but also bullhead is very easy to catch and sells decently. So does chub. The carp is like the garbage fish that you don't want to catch, but I mean, it's RNG. One thing you can do, and we're gonna set this here, is like, the further out you cast, the better your fish are, and this is a good spot to be in. I can't catch cast far enough to land in that, so we're just gonna stay here for a little bit. I'm going to do the first fish just to show you what the fishing game looks like. And then we're going to skip forward to the end of the day to see what our catches are looking like. With the basic rod, also fish bites, it's a big gap in between them. So, once you get the fishing rod that's 1800 that comes with bait, you get fish way faster. Bass, silver, great first catch. So hopefully we get a lot of those and not too many carps. So we will return at the end of the day. All right, it is the end of day 2. It is 12:30 a.m. where I am. I have enough time to get back to put some of the fish in the bin to sell them. Now, what some people will do in this situation is they will actually just keep fishing till 2 a.m. because just to catch more fish. I don't do that because I don't want to carry them all. I don't have enough inventory to carry all the fish to sell them along with my other inventory needs. I mean, I guess I could, but I've got some other stuff I need to bring back. Um, One of the new things that they've added is the river jelly, which is like a ton of energy. It also increases your max energy, which is cool and lasts for 7 minutes. So this really helps with fishing because the only other thing you would really catch with fishing that gives you energy back is algae. I mean, you can eat the fish, but that's like eating into your profits, and you don't want to do that. As you can see, I did not have good luck with the fish today. I need about 2,000 gold for the 1,800 rod, and then enough pieces of bait. From chests, I got 30 pieces of bait. I got 13 rice shoots, which is great. Got some coal ores, enough for 2 iron bars, which is good. Um, I'm gonna leave one. Well, actually, God, I probably shouldn't even bring any of these back. You want to leave one of these regular fish just to use in the community bundle for the fish. The river jelly doesn't sell for a lot, and it's the energy is worth more than anything else. So, God, yeah, we'll take this, 3 of those. And we'll just sell both the bass. I'll take the hit later and sell like a better bass or use a better bass for the thing. But yeah, we just need like a lot of money. We're going to take the coal. Oh, and we can't forget the hoe. Okay. The reason we're taking the coal is that you're going to need coal to turn copper into bars. Um, the mine doesn't open until Friday. So the only way to make bars is essentially by buying ore and turning the coal into ore. Now, luckily, since we got copper ore, Clint, the blacksmith, will show up tomorrow morning, and he will be like, "Hey, here's the schematic for building the furnace, which will be great. And you can build a furnace, toss some bars in there while you fish, and then once you have five, you can upgrade one of your tools. The tool you upgrade is going to be based on weather. If it's going to rain and you have five bars, then boom, do the copper, yeah, upgrade the watering can to the copper one first. But it's going to be cutting it kind of close to make it back, but we should be fine. Yeah, pretty much out of energy as well. So yeah, we'll bring the fishing rod because we're going to need to use the rod for a little bit before Willie's opens. And then once we go to sleep, I will get into a little bit of the plan for what day 3 is going to look like. And then we will pick this up on the next video, the second week of April. In the meantime, I know that Echo is going to be doing some live streams. He is a first time player, so definitely check those out. I think it's always fascinating to watch somebody who's never played the game to, kind of remind yourself what it was like for you when you first started out. Because once you've got the game down like this, it's like a completely different experience. All right, so we'll go here. A lot of people will actually hold on to the fish. They won't sell them until you get rank 5 fishing, so you can get a bonus for your sell value. But we have to get the new pole tomorrow so that we can really maximize. Like I said, it's all about that exponential growth. So let's go over here. And actually, just to be on the safe side, we are going to drop the ore just so the game thinks we picked it up. Just in case. Okay, all that looks good. Okay. And yeah, we got time to spare. So we should hit level 3 fishing. I've gotten really lucky a few times and gotten level 4. But yeah, we should hit level 3 fishing with no problem. All right, there's 1, 2, 3. Ah, yep, only 3. All right, 2200 with the fish. The carp again. I mean, Jesus, if you add it up, it's 15 carp, 12 chubs, only 2 bass, and only 5 bullhead. I mean, that is some bullshit. No, okay. One real quick thing about the bass. After 7 p.m., you cannot catch bass. There's a lot of fish like that who are only available during certain time periods. So one thing you can do, if it's like coming up around like 6 p.m. or so, and you haven't gotten like any bass and you've gotten like a ton of carp, it's best just to quit the game, start the day over, start the fishing over, and just sort of go from there. I probably should have done that in all honesty, but oh well. So we will go back, save the game. Clear and sunny. Mildly perturbed, that's not a problem. Yep, there's Clint. Furnace, so there we go. Okay, so on rainy days, the best fish for like sell value is available in the river. You can do it in the river in the town, and you can do it in the river to the south, the forest to the south. The problem is it's the catfish, and the catfish is insanely hard to catch, especially with early on fishing skill and without bobbers. Some people are able to do it. If you can catch that fish, it is like an insane amount of gold. It is 400 if you perfect catch it. It is 300 if you get it at the gold tier. It's basically 100 gold per tier. So, like, way more than any other fish. And what we're going to do today, and this is what we'll be catching up with on the next video, we're going to go down to Willie's and we are going to fish off of his pier until he opens, sell whatever fish we have, buy the pole, like the 1800 pole that allows bait, and there's new bait in the game that is fish specific. So we might get lucky and he might have largemouth bass bait, and that would be awesome. Just to bring you up to speed on some of the other things in the game here, this is where the animals are for the pets. This is where the new powers are. There's a book that you can get from fishing that makes it so treasure chests you get from fishing give you fish eggs, which is roe, which is a huge benefit, especially to get early on. A bunch of other special power things like that for different activities you really want to be on the lookout for. Once we get into the mine is going to be a big focus. It is very energy heavy though, so you're going to want to like kind of prepare for that. You've got a number of different options. Again, I'll be going over those in the next video. But yeah, I hope you found this very informative for your starting out. Again, I'm not saying you have to do it this way, but just if you want to like maximize your currency at the start so that you can buy a shit ton of seeds and get like a really good farm going that'll really boost you throughout the rest of the progression, this is one of the better ways to do it. So I will see you next week. Hope everybody takes care and stay safe.